Hi everyone, this is the ninth lecture for your chapter Chemical Control and Coordination, as well as the fourth lecture for the chapter Human Reproductive System. In the last class, we discussed till here, we were seeing the fertilization process, and after fertilization, the embryonic development. During the embryonic development, we saw the different stages of the embryo, then implantation, and finally we also saw how the placenta is formed, different hormones which are secreted from the placenta, and we ended the lecture with gastrulation. Gastrulation is basically where the three layers are formed in the embryo. You have one ectoderm, you have a mesoderm, and an endoderm. All these three layers of cells, they can then produce different organs and different tissues in the body of the fetus. Okay. Now we will be talking about the pregnancy we have already seen till here. So from this stage, okay, this is a gastrula, and from this gastrulation stage, different organs will start getting produced. Okay, so that is what is called pregnancy. Okay, whenever the fetus gets the embryo gets implanted into the uterus wall, the woman is said to be pregnant. So, discussing pregnancy, after around 1 month of pregnancy, the embryo's heart is formed. So, here you can see this is how the embryo will look like. This is the umbilical cord, the placenta, okay, where the mother's blood vessels and the fetal blood vessels they are forming a tissue, okay, which is known as placenta. Fine. So here you can see a small heart forming, a small arm bud. Bud is just like a rounded structure. Okay, so from where the arms will be formed. And you have similarly a leg bud. You can even see the tail portion, a small head with the brain, eye, heart. All of these small organs they have started forming. So after 1 month of pregnancy, the embryo's heart is formed. By the second month's end, okay, after the second month ends, the fetus develops limbs and digits. Limbs meaning arms and legs, and digits means fingers. Okay, so all of these are formed by the end of second month. Now to find out whether the embryo, now known as fetus, so if the fetus is growing properly or not, or whether it is viable, that is whether it is living or not, the doctor usually puts a stethoscope and hears to the heart sounds of the fetus. So that is how we can see that the fetus is alive and well. By the end of 12 weeks, which is first trimester, now pregnancy it lasts for 9 months. Okay, so 9 months, and that means you have 3 months wala teen group. Okay, so first 3 months are known as first trimester, second 3 months are known as second trimester, and last 3 months are known as third time trimester. Okay, so trimester literally means 3 months. So by the end of first trimester or 12 weeks, 1 month is 4 weeks. So 3 months is equal to 12 weeks. So by the end of 12 weeks, most of the major organ systems have been formed. The limbs and the external genitalia are also visible. Okay, so everything is almost formed. The basic composition is ready. Now it just has to mature and develop. By the fifth month, which is in the second trimester, the first movement of fetus and appearance, you can find the first movements of fetus. Okay, so the first time it starts to kick or it starts to move around. So this movement can be felt. There is also appearance of hair on the head. So here you can see there are hair present on the head. By the end of 24 weeks is 6 months or the second trimester. Okay, when it ends, the body is covered with fine hair. There is fine hair over all the body. Okay, the eyelids now separate, so the eye is well developed and the eyelids have separated a little, and the eyelashes are formed. By the end of 9 months, the fetus is fully developed and is ready for delivery. Okay, the most important part, which is the brain has developed properly, and after 9 months it is ready for delivery. After 7 months of pregnancy, even if the child is born, it will have a few underdeveloped organs. Otherwise, it is still strong enough. Okay, after 7 months, it can still live. if the fetus or the baby is born. Talking about childbirth, so at the end of 9 months, uh, there is parturition or childbirth. The average duration of human pregnancy is about 9 months, and this is known as gestation period. Okay, remember this term, gestation period. So 9 months is gestation. At the end of 9 months, there is vigorous contraction of uterus. So the womb or the uterus starts to contract, and these vigorous is very strong. Okay, strong contractions of uterus at the end of pregnancy, they cause expulsion or delivery of the fetus. It is when you push or when it contracts, okay, the uterus contracts, the baby has nowhere else to go but to go out. Okay, so that is how it is expelled, or the delivery, what we call in the normal terms. Okay, parturition is induced by a complex neuroendocrine mechanism. So here is where the endocrine or nervous system, they take control. Okay, there is a complex mechanism, so pay attention. The signals for parturition originate from fully developed fetus. So you must be wondering that who decides when it is time to deliver. Okay, so the baby itself, when it is fully developed, okay, the fetus, it is fully developed, it uh, it starts releasing some chemicals, okay, which we shall see later. So the parturition originates from fully developed fetus and the placenta. Even when when the fetus is fully developed, the placenta also starts releasing certain chemicals. These chemicals induce mild uterine contractions, which is known as fetal ejection reflex. Okay, this is known as fetal, from fetus, ejection, to throw out or push out, reflex. Clear? So, what are these chemicals that I keep on saying? These chemicals are nothing but prostaglandins, which we had seen even in the previous lecture. Okay, what is the function of prostaglandin? It is the local hormone which can cause smooth muscle contraction. So here uterus is lined with smooth muscles. So these smooth muscles will contract, and this is how the baby will be pushed out. Apart from that, apart from prostaglandins, you have oxytocin. Oxytocin also, the function is same. It causes contraction of the smooth muscles, right? So when we were studying pituitary gland, posterior pituitary, we saw oxytocin, and I had told you that it is involved in childbirth, okay, during parturition. So this triggers the release of oxytocin. When there is contraction, this causes release of oxytocin from the maternal pituitary. So till now, the baby was sending signals. Okay, the baby was releasing prostaglandins, and the placenta was releasing a little bit of oxytocin, and this caused a little contraction. Because of the contraction, okay, because the uterus tried to contract, now the maternal pituitary, that is the mother's pituitary, will start releasing oxytocin. This oxytocin will cause the uterine muscles to contract even stronger. Okay, so there will be stronger uterine contractions. Now, as the contraction becomes stronger and stronger, the oxytocin is also released more and more. Okay, this is like a positive feedback. जितना contraction ज़्यादा उतना oxytocin बढ़ेगा. Oxytocin बढ़ा तो contraction और strong. जितना contraction strong उतना oxytocin बढ़ा. So this is how little by little the strength, okay, of the uterine contraction increase. तो धीरे 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 करके ये contraction जो है, it will become increasingly strong. This stimulatory reflex between the uterine contraction and oxytocin secretion resulting in stronger and stronger contraction. ठीक है, this is what I explained just now. यूटरस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होगा तो ऑक्सीटोसिन रिलीज होगा, ऑक्सीटोसिन रिलीज होगा तो यूटरस और ज्यादा कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होगा, यूटरस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट हुआ तो ऑक्सीटोसिन रिलीज हुआ. So this is the cycle which will keep on continuing till there are very strong contractions. This leads to expulsion of the baby through the birth canal. ठीक है, तो ये baby जो है, it will come out from the uterus through the birth canal. Birth canal is the cervical canal plus vagina. So this baby will be pushed out through that birth canal, and this process is known as parturition or childbirth. Soon after the infant delivery, so the baby's head comes out first, okay, so that it can breathe. and after the head, the rest of the body follows. Now, with the baby, you can see this umbilical cord. Umbilical cord will have the blood vessels and the nerves, okay, some tissues attached to it, and this umbilical cord will be attached to this portion, which is the placenta, okay. So soon after the infant is delivered, the placenta is also removed from the uterus, okay, it is also expelled out of the uterus. So you can see this is the whole placenta, and here what is visible are the chorionic villi. Can you remember the chorionic villi? The chorionic villi had a lot of blood vessels from fetal side, okay, from the baby's side. Then it was bathing in the pool of blood, of maternal blood, okay. So there were swimming pools, I had told you, of blood, and what you can say, connected to these swimming pools there were maternal um, blood vessels, okay. So that is how the placenta was formed. So this whole placental tissue will come out after the baby. Now, after parturition, that is childbirth, the mammary glands of female undergo differentiation and start producing milk. Okay, so during the whole pregnancy, the mammary glands are developing little by little. If you know progesterone, it will be responsible for development of alveoli, right? So the alveoli is being developed, the breasts are being developed for to be ready, okay, after childbirth. So as soon as the parturition happens towards the end of pregnancy, there is production of milk which starts. This is known as lactation. The milk produced during the initial few days of lactation is called colostrum. Okay, so this colostrum, it is thick in nature. It is quite thick milk, and it consists of various antibodies. Okay, so these are maternal antibodies which are transferred to the baby. Okay, so from colostrum the baby can get antibodies, it can get a lot of nutrition, okay, which is absolutely essential for the development of baby, and as well as its immune function, because now the baby has never come in contact with any microorganism, any bacteria, any pathogen. So for such a small baby to survive, okay, it requires antibodies. So these antibodies are coming from the mother, clear, and specifically through milk. So this milk is known as colostrum. Now, milk production, as soon as the parturition takes place, the prolactin hormone, remember prolactin? So, prolactin will cause the alveoli to start secreting milk. And finally, the oxytocin, which we had also seen, that oxytocin will help in milk let down. Okay, so that milk will be secreted from the mammary gland with help of oxytocin. So here just in the three vials you can see the difference between milk produced, okay. The first one is the colostrum, which is secreted in the first few days of birth, okay, childbirth. Then it becomes a little lighter, and then finally it is quite light, okay. The concentration as well as the amount also will vary, because the small baby has a very small stomach. So in the initial days milk produced is thick, but it is in smaller amount. Later on the milk produced is thin, but it is larger in amount. Breastfeeding during the initial period of baby's growth is important for its health. Okay, as I already told you, it consists of antibodies as well as a lot of nutrition. So, breastfeeding is important for the growth of the baby. At least till 6 months, it is suggested that the breastfeeding should be done for the baby. Now, the next chapter, which was reproductive health, this is more like a theory chapter. Okay, so I shall not be covering the whole of it. This is for your homework, and it will be asked in the test, so you have to read it, okay. One or two questions may be asked from this also. Normally one question is asked, so it is also important, and it is just theory. So you will only have to read it, some important parts, okay, which I will cover right now. For example, reproductive health, when it had started. So the government, as soon as we got independence, which was in 47, okay, 1947, in 1951 the government decided that we needed some action plan, okay, some plan which will socially bring about some general awareness about family planning and reproductive health. Okay, so this family planning program, it started in 1951, and in 1977 it changed its name into family welfare program. Okay, welfare is for their betterment. Okay, and this was to improve the quality of life of people. Now, you may have known that your grandfather's or grandmother's side, they have many, many, many brothers and sisters, right? They might have six, seven brothers and sisters. So, before independence, there was no such, um, what you can say, clause or any other such program which told the people that you should have only a few number of people, children. Okay, so before that, people used to have 7, 8, 9, even 12 children. And the reason they used to have so many children was because not all of them survived. You may have even known that your grandfather or grandmother or somebody, some relative tells you that their brother or sister died at young age because of some very silly disease. Okay, some people died of typhoid, some died of salmonella, typhi, okay, which is typhoid. Then some may have even died of malaria. So in those times when the medicine was not very much improved, okay, people used to die a lot. So the parents used to have multiple children, and there was no such program which used to tell them about the reproductive health. So that was the reason why it was initiated that people should be made aware of their own reproductive health as well as their family's welfare. So the name given to this program now is Reproduction and Child Health Care, okay, RCH programs. So this is the uh, screenshot taken from their own website. Okay, this is the government website because you can see the symbol, and the name is Reproductive and Child Health. Okay, this is taken up by the Health and Family Welfare Department of Government of India. In 1970s, their slogan used to be "Do ya teen bus." So they introduced such catchy slogans to make sure that people started realizing that they do not require so many children. Okay, less is more. So to have less children, but uh, give them quality education, give them quality life. Okay, so to bring up the lifestyle, okay, of people, the government of India had started this. So they used to give such catchy slogans so that people understand that do ya teen bache is enough. Then in 1980s, the slogans used to be "Hum do hamare do," which has stuck till now. Okay, so people, if they stick to this slogan, they are happier in life. Chota parivar, sukhi parivar type of slogans, right? And they even promote the term that uh, they even promote this statement, which is if you want to have a second child, have it after 3 years, so that the mother is ready and the mother is healthy, so that the child also can be healthy. So, apart from raising awareness, so this reproductive health initiatives or the reproductive and child health, whatever the program is there, it consists of a lot of things. Okay, the first and the foremost thing they do is create a general awareness about all of these issues. But apart from that, they also provide medical assistance. Okay, apart from raising general awareness, they provide medical assistance to the people who have some reproductive related problems. For example, pregnancy. If the women are pregnant, then this department will also help in the case if the women or the family is not very well to do. Okay, so they provide with cheaper vaccination programs and cheaper beds for pregnancy and parturition. Then delivery, then sexually transmitted diseases like AIDS, gonorrhea, and a lot of such diseases which you have or might have studied in um, the diseases chapter. Okay. Then in case of abortions, then different contraceptions. Contraceptions are the uh, what you can say method, okay, to avoid pregnancy. Then menstrual problems, some have amenorrhea, which means that no menstruation. Then some have more than what is normal, so they keep on menstruating or losing a lot of blood. So in such cases also, then in case of infertility, all of these reproductive health and child health related um, issues, okay, they are taken care of by the RCH. Now there has been a statutory ban. Statutes means laws, okay, so lawful ban on amniocentesis for specifically sex determination. Before independence, it used to be done, okay, that you take the amniotic fluid sample and you find out whether the child is a boy or a girl. But you may have known that around and even before independence, the India, they used to think that women or female child, okay, they are not welcome. So there used to be female feticide and doodh piti and all those traditions where the female child were killed. So the government, it banned this amniocentesis for sex determination, and so now it is illegal in India to find out the sex of your child. Okay, and this was to curb this female feticides and all of that. Now, amniocentesis, because that term was mentioned, I thought it was important for you guys to know. Okay, so this is a normal ultrasound. So this here is the ultrasound receiver and the transducer. What it does is, as the name suggests, ultrasound. So it produces sound waves. These sound waves go, they touch the baby and they come back. Okay, that is also received by this device. Those sound waves, when they come back, they are generated into an image. So that image you can see on the computer. So this is used to find out where the baby is and where the empty space is. Fine. So wherever there will be empty space, a needle is injected through all of these layers. Okay, the mother's stomach or abdomen, and then it will be going through the uterine wall, through the amniotic sac, and into this amniotic fluid. This amniotic fluid is taken out, and it normally has skin cells of the baby. It also has some placental cells as well as the cells which are released, okay, during growth. So whenever the baby is growing, some cells they fall off. So these cells can be picked up by amniocentesis. Now these cells, they can be checked for different kinds of genetic problems or genetic disorders, like Down syndrome. If the baby has Down syndrome, that can also be confirmed using amniocentesis. Hemophilia is where clotting factor is absent, which is why the blood will not clot and the child may bleed to death. Okay, so in such cases also hemophilia can be found out. Then sickle cell anemia, where the RBCs are sickle shaped. So all of these conditions and more, okay, whether the child is mentally retarded, or if the physically it is not developing or maturing as it should, then this can all be found out by amniocentesis. um, right, so I don't know if you have heard of bar body, uh, or try to remember, okay, from your genetics, bar body test. So using the bar body test, people used to find out the gender of the child, okay, but now it is illegal, so you cannot find out the gender of the child. Okay, so this is amniocentesis. Apart from amniocentesis, the other important parts of this chapter are, you can divide it in two parts. Okay, the first one is contraceptives. As I already told you, contraceptive means to avoid pregnancy. Okay, the steps taken or the uh, tablets or anything methods you use to avoid pregnancy, so that is known as contraceptive. And then the second part we will study in case which is exactly opposite. Okay, for the people who are infertile, that is they are not able to conceive a child, then what all methods are available for them. Right. So contraceptives were also very famously promoted by the government, because, as you may already know, India is quite a populated country, and as the population increases, the natural resources. Okay, we have only limited natural resources, so the people, they fight for food and they fight for a good place to stay. Then they fight for jobs. So this will keep on increasing if the population explosion takes place, right? Hence, the government of India thought that it was time to put in an action plan and create a general awareness to in people that less is more, right? So contraceptives you can have of two types. The first one we will be discussing are temporary contraceptives. Temporary meaning you can use this method or use these contraceptives for some time whenever you want, and then let us say you decide to have kids, then you can just stop using this method. So these are known as temporary, okay, for a short period of time. In temporary contraceptives also there are different methods. So we will discuss the first method, which is chemical method. In chemical method, different spermicidal agents like spermicide. So spermicide is death of sperms. Okay, the meaning is death of sperms. Fine, like homicide is murder. Homi comes from the term man. Okay, so man, if you murder a man or if you kill a man, then it is known as homicide. So side is killing or death. So same way, spermicide, side means to kill. So to kill the sperms, you have certain chemicals which are known as spermicidal agents, or they are surface active agents. Surface active agents are like surfactants. Okay. I don't know. Do you know how the detergents they act on different bacteria or different living cells? So what basically happens is when you take, let us say, a little bit of hand wash or soap, and you foam it around, okay, move it around your hand and wash your hands. What basically happens is the outermost plasma membrane. That plasma membrane is made up of fats, right? Lipid. Now, this surfactant or the detergent or soap that you are using, it will form micelles of these fatty acids and lipids. Okay, and this is how the bacterial cell or the virus or whatever you are talking about that can be eliminated. So same way, think about sperms. Sperms are also small cells only, and they also have a covering of plasma membrane which is made up of lipids. So if you use detergent like compounds which are called surface active compounds, they will basically remove that protective covering of lipid, okay, or that plasma membrane. And if you break the plasma membrane, everything, the cytoplasm and its content will be pushed out, right? It will all be coming out, and so the cell will die. So these are called as surface active agents. So either you can call them spermicidal agents or some are surface active agents. What do? They attach to the spermatozoa or sperms and inhibit the oxygen uptake. So they will not allow the sperms to take up oxygen. If they will not be able to take up oxygen, they will not be able to produce ATP, and this is why they will die. Okay, they will not be able to survive. The failure rate is approximately 30%. That is out of 100 times. Okay, if you are using chemical contraceptives or if you are using spermicides, then out of 100 times, 30 times there is a chance of getting pregnant. Fine. So the failure rate that this spermicide will fail and the fertilization will take place is about 30%. Example is vaginal foam or tablets. The famous one is known as Today, as shown here. So these sponges, they are filled with spermicides, okay, and these sponges are inserted into the vagina and near the cervix. What basically they will do is they will kill all the sperms. Okay, so this is how you can ensure contraception. The second form is cream or jelly. So they are cream or jelly-like substances which are introduced in the female genital tract. Example is NIM 76, which was manufactured by Defense Institute of Physiology and Allied Sciences. Now, what exactly are these spermicidal agents? They are agents, they are just chemicals, okay, like zinc sulfate, then KMNO4, boric acid, lactic acid, citric acid. Now, for movement of sperm and fertilization, you require alkaline pH, okay? But if you raise the pH by using, if you decrease the pH, okay, you make it more acidic by using boric acid, lactic acid, citric acid, then it will not be able to move also, and even if it is able to move, it will not be able to fertilize. Clear? During fertilization, I had told you optimum pH is required. This optimum pH is alkaline. Okay. So if the pH becomes acidic, the sperm cells they lose motility, they lose their function, and this is how they are destroyed. The second method in temporary contraceptives is barrier method. Barrier method is you are putting some barrier, okay, you're putting some hurdles, so that the sperms they cannot meet the ovum. So for this, the very famously promoted one is condoms. So condoms are nothing; they are just thin rubber or latex sheath. Okay, they are like a covering, which are used to cover the penis or vagina. Now it depends. If you are using a male condom, then it covers the penis. If you are using a female condom, then it covers the vagina and the cervical opening. Okay. Now, if these are used, what will happen is after ejaculation, the semen will be contained within this rubber. Okay, it will be contained within the condom, and so it will not be able to reach in the female reproductive tract. So this can prevent conception. Nirod is a popular brand of condoms, of course, because it is synthesized or manufactured by the government. So they say that Nirod is a famous brand, but you may have seen other advertisements also for different popular brands of condoms. Then some temporary contraceptives in the same barrier method for women. Now this was mainly for men and very rarely people use for women. Okay, the vaginal condoms. More easily used, okay, in barrier method for women are diaphragms, cervical caps, and vaults. Basically, these are just different shapes. Okay, they are the different shapes which cover the cervix. If you remember, cervix is a very narrow opening. So what can be done is if you enter such kind of cervical cap, so this cervix will be covered with this cap. Okay, and more often than not these caps are also filled with some spermicide. Okay, so what will basically happen, even if ejaculation takes place, the sperm will not be able to enter the cervix and it will come across this spermicide, and that is how it will kill the sperm. And so certain spermicide creams and jellies and all are also used along with this cervical caps or diaphragms or vaults. As I told you, they are just different shapes and different types of the same thing, okay, which is basically blocking the cervix. In barrier method, you also have a third variety, which is the intrauterine contraceptive devices, IUCD, or very commonly known as IUD. Okay, intrauterine device. Intra means within, so within uterus there are certain devices that can be used. As you can see here, this is the uterus, and this is the IUD. The first IUD was made of silver. Okay, it was made of silver and used by Grafenberg. Now, there are three different varieties you can find of IUDs. You either have non-medicated IUDs, which means it does not have any medicine, okay, or it does not have any spermicide. It is just filled with some what you can say chemicals, okay, which will not allow the sperm's movement and it will not allow the fertilization process to take place. For example, Lippy's loop. As you can, this is just an example. Okay, the name is Lippy's loop, which is made up of plastic or stainless steel. As you can see here, this is a plastic one. Okay, and it is impregnated. Impregnated meaning it is filled with barium sulfate. Now, barium sulfate will not allow movement and the fertilization of sperms. Clear? Sorry, movement of sperms and fertilization of ovum. So these can also be used. These are non-medicated IUDs. Okay, they're just normal IUDs. As you can see, they also have the string-like structure. So this string can be pulled out and the IUDs will come out. Okay. The second variety is copper releasing IUDs or copper IUDs. These are more commonly used ones. Okay. In this era, most commonly copper Ts are used. So there also you have different varieties. CUT is just copper T. You have copper 7. So little bit of what you can say science and research and development takes place, and you find new and new IUDs coming every year. Okay, so the most common one is the copper T, and then multi-load 375. So basically, it just has a very different shape, but it also releases copper. Now, copper it does not allow the movement of sperms. Okay, it inhibits the motility of sperms, and that is how it is permissible in activity. So that is why copper IUDs are used, which are most commonly known as copper Ts because they look like a T shape. Then you have certain hormone releasing IUDs. Hormone releasing IUDs release certain hormone, okay? And these hormones will not allow the activity of sperms. So these IUDs, they may be releasing certain hormones, okay, in the female reproductive tract. The failure rate of IOD is 1 to 3%, which means from 100 times or 100 times, you can have 1 to 3% probability that a baby may be conceived. Okay, so the conception or the rate of baby's conception is 1 to 3%. Okay, so failure rate, of course, for IOD, which is a contraceptive, the failure rate is 1 to 3%. Then you have the last method in temporary contraceptive, which is hormonal method. Basically, this is the most effective method because you can say almost 100%. Okay, the failure rate is 0.1%, which is less than 1. So you can call it almost 100% effective. In this method, oral pills are taken. Okay, pills means small tablets. So oral tablets, oral meaning you take it from mouth. So oral tablets are taken or injections are also given. These are known as shots, which can be given, I think, once a month. And implants can also be used. So these implants, they keep on releasing certain hormones during the whole month. Okay. So these female oral pills are Mala N and Mala D. These are just some examples given by your textbook. Then you have from so when are these taken? Okay, these oral pills, when should you take? So these are normally taken from day 1 to day 21 of menstrual cycle. We saw that menstrual cycle, it takes place for 28 days. So from day 1 to day 21, the hormonal pills are given. And from the last 7 days, okay, from 22 to 28, iron supplements are given. These iron supplements, they just help with the blood loss, okay, which happens during menstrual cycle. So hormonal pills are not given every day. I mean, it will come in a pack of 28 pills, but from day 1 to day 21, the pills will be made up of hormones, while the last 7 days, the pills will be made up of iron supplements. Okay. Now, what is the composition of these oral contraceptives? Like, you may be wondering that what are these hormones which are used? So mostly, now these names are not much important, but it is known as noretheristerone. Okay, as you can see from the sterone only that it is a steroid hormone. So this noretheristerone is actually a synthetic progesterone. That is, you can synthesize it in a factory, okay, or in a lab. This noretheristerone or synthetic progesterone, it is higher in concentration in these oral pills. And then you also have in very low concentration ethinyl estradiol. Now from estradiol only you may be able to understand that it is synthetic estrogen. So basically the oral pill or the hormonal method, you are given progesterone in higher concentration and estrogen in lower concentration. Okay, synthetic ones of course. And what these hormones do is they decrease the GnRH secretion. Okay, and if the GnRH is not secreted, certain hormone levels, okay, which are important for implantation, which are important for the embryo development, will not be seen, and that is how they act as contraceptive. Um, According to your textbook, Saheli, which is a new oral contraceptive, was developed by scientists at Central Drug Research Institute (CTRI) in Lucknow, and these are actually non-steroidal. That is, they are not made up of your steroidal hormones like estrogen or progesterone. Why this was synthesized or even developed? The reason is that when you keep on taking such artificial hormones, they cause many side effects, okay, in your body, and so they developed a non-steroidal oral contraceptive which does not have any side effects, or it has side effects but less. That was all about temporary contraceptives. The second part is terminal contraceptive. Okay, in terminal contraceptive, terminal means end. So this is the last resort type of. Okay, so in this you have two varieties. You can either have vasectomy or tubectomy. Vasectomy, from the name itself, you can understand vas deferens. Okay, so from vas deferens comes the name vasectomy. You can see the vast difference here. So these vast differences, they are cut and they are tied together like this. Okay, I mean tied separately. The ends are tied together like this. Okay, so this is how the sperm will not be able to exit only the vast difference, and so they will not be able to be ejaculated. Okay. So this is a terminal contraceptive method for men, and for women also same can be done. The fallopian tubes are cut and tied together, so this is known as tubectomy from fallopian tube. Okay, so tubectomy can be done for women. Now these procedures, they are very less chance of being reversible. Okay, there is a very less ratio where you can untie these and then again join the fallopian tube and get the reproductive potency back. Okay, so these are almost irreversible, you can say. There are some chances of reversibility, but for now you can consider them in terminal contraceptives. Apart from this, there are also certain other methods like abstinence. Abstinence is basically where you abstain yourself. To abstain is to hold yourself back. Okay, so during the certain periods, like from day, let us say 13 to day 16, or during ovulation period, okay, it is better to not have intercourse, in which case the fertilization will not happen and the pregnancy will also not be seen. Okay, but this is not very proper method because you cannot predict when the ovulation may take place exactly, right? Then there is the second method of um, uh, during the sexual intercourse, the sperms are not ejected into the vaginal tract. Okay, that is another method. I am not able to recall what it was called, but basically you pull out. And the third is during childbirth. Okay, after childbirth, after parturition, because of prolactin. Now prolactin is important for milk production, right? But this prolactin, it will also inhibit the estrous cycle or the menstrual cycle. So during this high levels of prolactin, new ovums or new egg cells are not produced. So this period also is comparatively a little safe for like not conceiving another baby. But again, as I told you, these are all very risky methods, so you can never be 100% sure, right? So this was all about contraception. Now there is the second part, which is what happens if the woman is already pregnant, right? Then in the first month or the first trimester, sorry, in the first trimester, you can get the pregnancy removed. So this removal of pregnancy or removal of this embryo is known as medical termination of pregnancy, or MTP. Now, according to our government, there was a Medical Termination of Pregnancy Amendment Act in 2017, and this was made by the government to make sure that illegal abortions do not take place. And because illegal abortions, they are done in some shady places and some very weird hospitals and all. Okay, and this may affect the mother's mortality. Okay, mortality is death rate, so it may affect the mother's health as well as it may affect the mother's living status also, right? So okay, not a funny thing, but uh, this is why the government of India, it allows, okay, you can medically terminate the pregnancy basically in the first 12 weeks of pregnancy, which is the first trimester. This is also allowed if you have a very legit reason. This is not a method of contraception, of course, but if you have a very legit reason saying that either the baby was conceived because of rape, or it was conceived because of some contraceptive not working, okay, so failure of contraceptive, or it was conceived because of um, any other reason, okay, or it is attached to some other parts rather than uterus. So if the embryo, it has been implanted in fallopian tube or it has been implanted somewhere else, it is known as ectopic pregnancy. And ectopic pregnancy is not a good thing for the mother's health or for the baby's development. So in certain such cases, the pregnancy may be terminated legally, and this is known as medical termination of pregnancy, done within first 3 months of pregnancy. if the pregnancy has lasted more than 12 weeks or 3 months, but it is less than 24 weeks or 6 months. Then two medical two medical practitioners, that is two medical doctors, their opinions are required for terminating the pregnancy. This is also important because it is very um, in first 3 months, if you remove the pregnancy, it is not quite harmful. Okay, it is safe for the mother. But in the second trimester, if the baby is removed or if the fetus is removed, it may even have an effect on the mother's health. Hence, two medical practitioners, their opinions are required for terminating the pregnancy. And of course, the basic two or the major two reasons required for this will be either there is risk to the life of pregnant woman, or there is risk that the child, if it was born, then it will have some physical or mental retardation or abnormality, okay, or it is handicapped. And so it is always better to terminate the pregnancy rather than carry out the full term. So this will be, as I told you, decided by the medical practitioner, if done within first 12 weeks, and if done after 12 weeks, you require two doctors' opinion. Now the second part of the chapter, which talks about exactly opposite. There are certain people who cannot conceive a child. Okay, so this is known as infertility. That is, you are not able to conceive a child. So what is the treatment of infertility? It is together known as ART. Okay, the ART, the full form is Assisted Reproductive Technologies. Assisted is how you assist, right? So assisted reproductive technologies. In this also there are two varieties, two types. Let us discuss the first one, which is very common. You must have heard or even seen such clinics. So they are known as in vitro fertilization, IVF. Very commonly and very well known as a test tube baby, right? So actually the baby is not made in test tube, it is made in a petri dish, but yeah, that is a name which has stuck. So in vitro fertilization, I don't know if you know, but vitro is actually a term for glass. Okay, vitreous means glass. So in vitro, because you are making it in a test tube or rather in a petri dish, which is made up of glass. We call it in vitro fertilization, IVF. So here the fertilization takes place outside the body of the female, and after the fertilization has taken place, the embryo is then transferred back into the mother, the original mother, if she is healthy enough. And if she is not able to conceive, or if she has some defects which is not allowing her to become pregnant, then this embryo is transferred to another mother, which is known as surrogate mother. Okay. So in vitro fertilization, there can be two types, or three types rather. You have ZIFT. ZIFT, the full form is zygote intrafallopian transfer. Zygote intrafallopian transfer. The name, the full form only, it is telling you the function. That is the zygote. It is transferred where? It is transferred intra, that is within fallopian tube. Okay. So here you can see this is the diagram for ZIFT, and this is the either zygote or even early embryos. Early embryos, that is before 8 cell stage. Okay, they are transferred into the fallopian tube like this. The second one is intrauterine transfer. Now here this was intrafallopian transfer. The second is intrauterine transfer. Here you allow the embryo to grow up to 8 blastomeres, or more than 8 blastomeres, up to 32 cells. Clear? So from 8 to 32 cells, if you have the embryo, then this embryo is transplanted into the uterus as shown here. Okay, from 8 to 32. So this is known as intrauterine transfer, IUT. Okay, within uterus, intrauterine. The third variety is known as intracytoplasmic sperm injection. Now, this is not related to where the embryo is implanted. This is rather related to male infertility. Okay, if the sperm it does not have enough motility, that is, it is not able to move very well. Okay, so the motility is lacking, in which case this sperm is taken and injected directly into this egg cell or ovum. This pink colored cell that you can see is the egg cell, and this through this needle, okay, and a sperm cell is introduced inside the ovum, and this is known as intracytoplasmic sperm injection. So within the cytoplasm, a sperm is injected, ICSI. sperm is directly injected into the cytoplasm of ovum. So these three are the methods for in vitro fertilization. In vitro, that means what is commonly known as test tube baby. In vitro literally means in glass. Okay, so you are doing all of this in glassware. So in vitro fertilization. The second type of art is in vivo fertilization. This means that the fertilization, this will take place in vivo. In vivo means inside the body, inside living system. Okay, that living system is known as vivo or vivo, however you pronounce it. So basically, in vivo fertilization, this will take place inside the body of the female. Okay, the female may differ. It may either be original mother or it may be a surrogate mother, but basically the fertilization and all the steps they take place inside the body of the female. So in this, the first type is gamete intrafallopian transfer, which is very conveniently named as gift. Okay, gamete intrafallopian transfer. So what happens here is intrafallopian, within the fallopian tube, there is transfer of gametes. Which are the gametes? You have gametes like ovum and sperm, right? So there is transfer of ovum collected from the ovary. So ovum are collected from the ovary and then they are taken out. As you can see, this is a petri dish. Okay. So in the petri dish, you have ovum, you also have sperm, and these ovum and sperm, they are placed in the fallopian tube like this. And the fertilization and everything else will take place here only. So the rest of the process is natural, but the ovum transfer and the sperm transfer you are doing by hand. Okay. So this is gamete intrafallopian transfer. This can be done in the same female from which the ovum are taken, or this can be done in any other surrogate mother as well. The second type in vivo fertilization is artificial insemination. Now we had seen insemination is just release of semen in the reproductive tract of female, right? But artificial means you are doing it by hand. Now, this is done in case of low sperm count. That is, the sperm count is low, which means that sperms are not able to reach till ovum or that they are not very motile. So, what is done is this semen is by hand transferred to artificially into the vagina or into the uterus, depending on the motility and their functions. Okay, other functions, if they are okay, then the sperms are released in the uterus. And if their motility also is weak, then these sperms are taken up till the fallopian tube and released there. So this is how the in vivo fertilization. The fertilization will take place inside the body, okay, inside the living system. But that gamete transfer you are doing by hand. Here we end the reproductive system and the reproductive health chapter as well. Now, because we had started it as an endocrine system or chemical control and coordination chapter, I just wanted to mention a few hormones which are not mentioned, okay, till now. So these are just some extra hormones which are secreted from a small parts of other organs, okay. So, for example, heart also secretes certain hormone known as atrial. Atrial because it is secreted by atrium, okay, atrium or what you call auricle, the upper chambers of the heart, right? So it is secreted by that part, so it is known as atrial. Natriuretic. Now, sodium, if you want to write in chemistry, you write it as Na, right? Why is sodium not written as S? Very good. So sodium Na is actually short form of natrium. Okay, Natrium, natrium. Natrium was a Latin name of sodium. Fine. So that is why its chemical symbol is Na. So here what you can see from the name natri. Okay, so natri it is related to sodium. Uretic, I had shown you uretic because it has to do with urine. Okay, so what is it talking about? It is talking about some factor, okay, some factor or some protein which is secreted from atrium of your heart. So atrial, natriuretic, sodium in urine. Clear? So from the name itself only you will be able to understand its function. So when the blood pressure is increased, this blood pressure increase is sensed by the your heart. Okay, if the blood pressure suddenly increases, your heart will be able to feel it, right? So the chambers of the heart or the atrium, they feel this blood pressure increase, and what they do is they start releasing ANF. ANF is a hormone, entry natriuretic factor, or atrial natriuretic hormone. Okay, so this atrial natriuretic hormone will go to the kidney. What will it do to the kidney? As the name suggests, natriuretic, sodium in urine. So it will start excreting sodium. Okay, it will start excreting sodium in the urine. As the sodium goes, wherever the solute goes, the water follows. So the water will follow the sodium, and because of this, a lot of sodium and a lot of water will be excreted out in form of urine. This reduces the volume of blood. Okay, so when from the blood water is excreted out in form of urine, the blood volume decreases. If the blood volume decreases, the blood pressure also decreases. Okay, and this is how atrial natriuretic factor takes care of the high blood pressure. Second is kidney. Kidney produces a hormone known as erythropoietin. Okay, erythropoietin. Specifically, there are certain cells known as juxtaglomerular cells. Okay, these juxtaglomerular cells, they release erythropoietin. What does this hormone do? Erythropoietin stimulates erythropoiesis. What does this term mean? Erythro is this term for erythrocytes or RBCs. Okay, and poiesis means formation. So erythropoiesis means formation of RBC. Now what happens is, if the person has anemia or if there are low number of RBC, these low number of RBCs will be sensed by your kidney. The kidney will start synthesizing EPO. EPO is short form for erythropoietin. And erythropoietin does what? It goes to the bone marrow and causes increased production of RBC. Clear? So this is a hormone which takes care of your RBC count. Fine. In previous times, even some athletes, they used to take erythropoietin. Okay, just like how they take steroid as drugs. Okay, anabolic steroids, they used to even take erythropoietin. Why? Because of erythropoietin, the RBC concentration will increase. If you have higher number of RBC, you will be able to hold a lot of oxygen, right? So that oxygen will be able to transport more because of high RBCs, and this is how you may be able to run a very long race. Okay, so priorly people used to use erythropoietin for doping, and now there are doping tests to check whether they have taken erythropoietin injection or not. Okay, so it is illegal, it is banned to take erythropoietin injections for sports. The last part is GIT hormones. GIT is gastrointestinal tract hormones. These hormones are released by your gastrointestinal tract, and they are acting also on the gastrointestinal tract. So there are four major peptide hormones. This was important to mention so that you know that they are actually made up of peptide, okay, amino acids. The first hormone is known as gastrin. Gastrin, as you can see, it acts on the gastric glands. Gastric or gastrin, whatever you hear, it has to do with your stomach. Okay, so these gastric glands are the ones which secrete HCl and pepsinogen. Okay, hydrochloric acid, as well as the inactive form of pepsin, which is pepsinogen. So what will gastrin do? Gastrin is a local hormone. Gastrin will go to the stomach, and it will cause increased production of HCl and pepsin. So you have to look at this arrow, okay, this red arrow which is showing a plus sign. Plus sign means it is increasing this production, HCl and pepsin. When is gastrin released? Gastrin is released by the stomach itself when you have eaten something. Okay, when you eat something, the stomach, it gets filled up. When it gets filled up, the walls, they stretch a little, and when the walls stretch, they start secreting gastrin. The gastrin will go and increase secretion of HCl and pepsin to start digesting the food you have eaten. Okay. The second hormone is secretin. Secretin, it acts on pancreas. Okay, here you can see the pancreas, so it is acting on pancreas. You can see the plus sign. It will start release of water and alkaline fluid, which is bicarbonate ions from the pancreas. Okay, The secretin is released when the food exits the stomach and starts entering the duodenum. When the food enters duodenum, it is known as chyme, and chyme is acidic in nature. So, to neutralize this acidic chyme, pancreas secretes the bicarbonate ions or HCO3 minus ions, right? So, this HCO3 minus ion secretion is dependent on secretin. The secretin will ask the pancreas to release water as well as bicarbonate ions to neutralize the acid from stomach. Secretin will also inhibit the release of gastrin, that you no longer require more and more gastrin or more and more HCl and pepsin. So this is how secretin will inhibit gastrin. The third hormone is known as cholecystokinin. Cholecystokinin. Cholecystokinin will be affecting both gallbladder as well as pancreas. Okay, so you can see the two arrows. Cholecystokinin. Cholecystokinin does what? It causes contraction of gallbladder. Now, gallbladder you may have studied. It is the storage house, okay, of bile salts and bile fluids. So, when gallbladder is contracted, all of the bile will flow into the duodenum. Same way, it causes the pancreas to release its pancreatic enzymes. Okay, so that is how the pancreas will start secreting enzymes and gallbladder will start secreting bile so that the food may now be further digested in the duodenum. Finally, you have the last hormone, which is gastric inhibitory peptide. From the name only, you can understand gastric inhibitory peptide. It is inhibiting or reducing the function of what? It is reducing the function of gastric glands. Okay, so it will inhibit the gastric secretion so that more and more HCl and pepsin are not secreted. Okay, this is released when the food moves away from duodenum into jejunum. Okay, so these are the gastrointestinal hormones. Apart from that, there are some miscellaneous hormones. You may be very surprised to know that there are hundreds of hormones in your body. Okay, but because they are not very huge hormones, okay, or they are functioning locally, that is, they are secreted from one region and they are affecting the neighboring region, we do not have to study them a lot. But few of them I thought of mentioning so that either here or either in some other systems you may come across these. Okay. So neurohormones, they are secreted by axons of nerve cells. And two examples or two famous examples are acetylcholine and norepinephrine. They are known as neurohormones. Then prostaglandins. Prostaglandins we have come across during childbirth as well as when we were discussing the seminal fluid. Okay. So prostaglandins are basically they are local hormones. That is, they are secreted from one place and affect the neighboring place. They are made up of fatty acids, okay, specifically arachidonic acid. They can be secreted by kidneys, by gonads, seminal vesicle, thymus, brain, and a lot of different tissues. Okay, so they secrete prostaglandins. As you can see, S has been added, which means that there are variety of prostaglandins. So they are secreted in the extracellular fluid, and it was first of all observed in the semen of man, and hence it was named as prostaglandin, found from prostrate. Okay, that was how it was named, prostrate gland. From prostrate gland the name comes prostaglandins. They stimulate contraction of smooth muscles, as we have already seen. So when secreted by the seminal vesicle, and when the semen it is ejected into the female vaginal tract, okay, this reaches up to the vagina and causes the activation and contraction of muscles of uterus. Okay, and we had seen how this contraction of uterus will help in the sperms moving upwards. Okay, they are pulled up because of this contraction. So, hurrah! Here we end 3 chapters. Can you believe it? We have done the chemical control and coordination. We are done with the reproductive system, human reproductive system, and we have also covered the main parts of the reproductive health. Okay. Now, I know I have not covered all of the reproductive health chapter, but that is what I told you in the beginning, and that is homework for you. And whenever there will be a test next time, it will include all these 3 chapters. So please be ready. Okay. So see you next time with the first chapters we had started, which was plant physiology. So we will continue with the plant physiology now.